Hot in the presses has been one battle after another, but something that's been reported recently is that it's lost some money for the studios. Want to talk about this, Rob?
Yeah, of course, we've talked a lot about how Mike DeLuca and Pam Abdi's reign at Warner Brothers was re-energized by 7 films in a row that opened not only at number one, but over $40 million. Now, they're taking a big gamble on great creators, great visionaries, and their works. And so far, it's paid off. Now, one battle after another is obviously from the great Paul Thomas Anderson, and it did open at number one, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, based on the Thomas Pynchon novel loosely, Vineland. And so here we have the film. There's some box office news. Every Monday morning, Virginia-based cinema owner Mark O'Mara pores over the grosses to see how the newest releases are playing in his area. Last weekend didn't offer much to celebrate as some well-reviewed Oscar contenders collapsed at the box office. The Smashing Machine, a sports biopic starring Dwayne Johnson as MMA fighter Mark Kerr, died pretty quickly. Of course, Roof Man, a dramedy featuring Channing Tatum. Well, people love that, and it also is slow as hell, says O'Mara. And, of course, this is tough because these films, I think, are actually great films. The studios are taking chances. They're doing something different. I mean, I think I saw Roof Man. I think Roof Man was terrifically fun. And, again, I don't know if it's marketing or what, but they are reporting that movies like, One Battle After Another has lost a great deal of money.
Yeah.
And the thing about this film is, the studios have sort of moved over into making spectacle films for the masses that travel globally. And One Battle After Another is obviously a visionary. I mean, we're coming off, Paul Thomas Anderson is the man who made Phantom Thread, about a man who made Dresses, starring the great Daniel Day-Lewis, which, by the way, is an amazing movie, which I loved. But it's not exactly going to, burn up. I don't think teenage people are like, let's go see the new movie about dressmaking from Paul Thomas Anderson.
Right.
Although I would say that, we do have a cult of A24, and there's a lot of really interesting, some really great indie films or movies at lesser budgets being made. This is a big budget studio picture with stars like Benicio del Toro and, of course, Leonardo DiCaprio. But unfortunately, they're saying it might lose up to $100 million. Now, it's also Oscar bait. So maybe it has a chance at a second life, depending on what the nominations might be come Oscar season. But again, Jonathan, there's a really interesting philosophical question to ask here. We seem to live in a culture that only now values profit. Nothing, if something isn't profitable, it's not worth doing.
But what's interesting to that is it seems like it's not just the creators and not the storytellers, but the executives. But it seems like the audiences are right in line. And what I don't understand is we hear over and over, Hollywood doesn't make original films. It's just comic book tentpole movies. We just want stories that are like kind of refreshing and character based. And then you give that to them, and $10 million worth of people on a weekend go see it.
Yeah.
So how do you get people in theaters? Because I understand a lot of people don't go see Paul Thomas Anderson films, but it got a lot of hype. Leo DiCaprio's in it. The trailers look great.
Shot in VistaVision.
Yeah. I mean, it looks incredible. The Smashing Machine, people love Dwayne Johnson. We've talked to this ad nauseum, but people just aren't showing up. It's like, I feel like they want those movies, but they want those movies on streaming. But if it's on streaming and it didn't show in a theater, it's not prestigious enough. This is going to be a strange puzzle for the studios to fix.
Yeah, and with streaming movies, they're spending theatrical dollars on streaming films. Like we heard, The Electric State, a $300 million movie, The Gray Man, a $220 million film, and those are only on streaming. What I find really interesting is we're moving into, I think next week, Catherine Bigelow's movie House of Dynamite opens, which is supposed to be, by all rights, incredible. Really, it's a streaming film, but they're going to give it a bit of a theatrical birth. We have, of course, the new Knives Out film is going to have a little bit of a theatrical birth. And, of course, Amazon has committed their next year's slate entirely to theatrical. So it's a weird time for the business. But I think, look, also One Battle After Another. Remember, movies take 2 years to get made. So people are calling One Battle After Another like a commentary on the state of affairs politically in the country today, which really isn't fair because, one, it's loosely based on a novel that was published quite a while ago, and two, who knew what the state of the world was going to be today when they started making that movie years ago? So it's really interesting. Zeitgeist, timing, it all plays into it. But
to that argument though, I was thinking, it's really, I get it. It's low hanging fruit. Oh, we're supposed to just love revolutionaries, like people who just like apparently want people in prison camps. Whatever. But, well, okay. I mean, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid were bank robbers, and we loved them, and nobody complained about that.
No.
The Wild Bunch were a bunch of scoundrels, and we loved them, and nobody complained about that. Or still going back retroactively and saying, can you believe people liked movies about where bank robbers were the heroes? I mean,
No, and I think, any great piece of art is there to start a conversation, not dominate a conversation,
Correct.
Not tell you what the conversation should be about. And I think all of the great works of cinema, sure, they might have points of view, the directors might have points of view, but the reason cinema endures as an art form is it transcends the time in which it was made, and it's still able to look. If you want to look at one of the great movies ever made about Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard. Now, the fashion of it might be a little outdated, but if you sit and watch that story, it's timeless, and it never ceases to entertain. And every year that clicks by, that film becomes more and more resonant, depending on who you are and when you see it. And I think that's what great cinema does. And I think in 20 or 30 years, one battle after another will endure.
I think so, and actually, we're touching on a couple of themes you've mentioned. We're going to talk about some topics in a little bit about enduring, about people's perspectives maybe changing or understanding, and we're also going to be talking about some nominations and how this might affect these films down the road. But anyway, with that down, guys,
we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. All right, guys, listen, fall's here, football season, yard work, those long work days, and yeah, that means sweat. But here's the thing, staying fresh doesn't have to be a battle. You guys know I've been using Mando, that's Mando, and this stuff actually works. Now, I've been telling you guys about Mando for a while now, and when I first started using it, I wasn't sure what to expect, but Mando totally surprised me. It's not just a nice scent, it stops odor before it starts. And the sweat control, on point. I can go through a full show day, go hit the gym, and I'll still be dry. And I love that it pulls double duty with one stick that handles both odor and sweat. No reapplying, no nonsense. And it's long-lasting, lasting up to 72 hours. So here's the deal. Mando's got a starter pack that's perfect if you're new. You get their solid stick, the cream tube, 2 free extras like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And right now, you can get 20% off site-wide when you use my code Campea at shopmando.com. Again, that's shopmando, shopmando.com, code Campea for 20% off plus free shipping. So do yourself a favor and stay fresh this fall. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. It's not magic, it's science.
let us know what you guys think about one battle after another, apparently losing almost $100 million for the studios. The article also brings out that studios need to lower budgets, but this wasn't really a tentpole. This is a tentpole for Paul Thomas Anderson. But when we're talking about Smashing Machine, the budget was, I believe, 40 million.
40 or 50, yeah.
And yes, it could have been done for probably 30, 35 million, but at only making 10 million, this is still going to be a loss. So let us know what you guys think are the problems with viewership, with budgets, all of that.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.